Hey guys, what's up? Man, it's been a long time since I've made a spoken video. Um, if you don't recognize me, which you probably shouldn't, you might have seen my videos. My videos are essentially I will build a gun or get a new piece of kit or whatever, and then take a minute or two video of it, and basically it's just like just like showing off. And then I'll set it to my own music, some song that I like. Uh, Definitely violate the copyright rules, which is why the channel is not sponsored, or I guess not sponsored, but it's not monetized. So an artist can't make a claim against you if you're not making money off their music or whatever. So anyway, um, but this channel is 100% independent. I get nothing. So anything in the future that you may see me review or test is comes out of my own wallet, or it's my own money that I don't get anything free. I don't um, owe anybody allegiance. And so that's about it. Now, I've been making videos for quite some time. I think I made my first video 10 or so years ago. It was an acid bath, or actually it was a Dax Riggs concert. He's like an old like stoner metal, or I don't know. He was like, to give you an idea of like, put it in perspective, how old I am. I'm 54. Uh, he Acid Bath was one of Kurt Cobain's favorite bands, so it just gives you an idea. For any like the youngsters, it's hard to like. I find it hard to like understand how old people are, and to understand like what they grew up on and what their sort of their cultural influences are. Um, and so I always like try to like uh, give an example of somebody that is close to my age, so that people understand like, oh, okay, so that's how old, that's where, what, those, that's the person who was influential at his age, in his social circles or whatnot. So like Tupac was 2 months older than me, to give you an idea. So that, I mean, you guys can do the math on where everything else fits in from there. So I grew up going to high school in the late 80s, went to college in the early 90s, was there for like all the 90s music, the live Radiohead shows, and Tool shows, the first Tool shows ever, Smashing Pumpkins, Nine Inch Nails, Jane's Addiction. I was like there for all of it. Caught the tail end of some like the classics, like the Grateful Dead shows in Vegas in the early 90s with like Steve Miller, and I guess Dave Matthews was just breaking out. But Steve Miller and who else? Parrot Head, whatever, what's his name? Margaritaville dude, Jimmy Buffett. And so that's just gives you an idea of how old I am, and so where this comes from, right? Like, I'm not this isn't a channel where like there's going to be a lot of shit talking and trolling. It's just not my style, right? Like, uh, let me back it up. So what I want this channel to be, I've been dealing with a back injury for several years. I had a spinal fusion about 5 years ago, and sort of like with mental health diagnoses, spinal or nerve injuries require like multiple medical procedures to sort of like target the problem and then get it right. You like sort of like with mental health, for instance, you will prescribe a prescription. You'll give it a few months to settle in, and then you'll have another sort of analysis of the person. They might have to discontinue it. They might have to up the dosage. They might have to reduce the dosage. Um, they might have to add another medication, and because it's always sort of like it's not like with like I don't know, like like if you have a hernia, you have the surgery, you repair the muscle, problem solved. This is something that's sort of like, because with nerves, obviously, um, it's so nuanced around the spinal cord and with nerve endings. And, you can have like a pressure on a nerve in your third lumbar, um, like, vertebrae. And it could cause your like pinky to be burning hot, or you could have another, swelling around another vertebrae, and it feels like your ankle was hit with a sledgehammer. So um, that's the same with like spinal injuries. And so I had a surgery. I later found out that like a typical spinal fusion surgery takes a couple surgeries before they sort of get it to the place where you're normal again. And so I had my surgery. Obviously, I don't deal with pain, but there needs to be an adjustment. And I've been, past few years, I've been taking care of, it sounds like I'm complaining, but I'm not. I've been a primary caregiver to two elderly 85-year-old parents. And so I haven't had a whole lot of time to get away and do like a 6 weeks of recovery for a surgery. Another 6 months of rehabilitation. And so I've sort of lived in this state of like being able to walk but not run, being able to function without pain, but also dealing with just back problems, which makes it like something like dynamic shooting or CQB style with like a team or another shooter, like impossible, because it's that stuff requires like fast movement, quick, like high twitch muscles. You need to be able to like move quickly, and that's just not where I'm at right now. Now, the surgery I've had, the good news for me, what's given me sort of hope, is that this surgery, spinal fusion of my L3 L5, so is a surgery, exact injury that like Slade Kutcher, or Kucher, I'm not sure how his last name's pronounced, but he's had that exact injury. I think I heard in a one of his few interviews that it took 7 surgeries. First one's the major surgery, and then the next ones are sort of like minor adjustments until you hit that sweet spot where you're back to doing what you do. And if you've seen him, now he trains. I think he trains others. He's he's a high speed dude, right? So it's the injury I have is completely something you can recover from. And have been working with a neurologist, a neurosurgeon, which is one of the leading spinal surgeons in the world. Went to medical school at 17, went to Harvard, graduated #1 in his class, and he specializes in like spinal deformities and like things that are very like rare and like really, someone who's born with like a deformed spine, and that's really sort of like a much harder or much more difficult surgery to deal with, because it's you're dealing with like an unhealthy person and an unhealthy spine, and you're having to create a healthy spine out of an unhealthy spine, right? So, but mine, I grew up an athlete. At my prime, I'd say in my 30s, I was 6'3", 215, 220, worked out every day, 2 hours a day, ate right. I got clean and sober, stopped drinking when I turned my 30th birthday. So, and I haven't drank in 24 years. Got clean and sober a few years after that. Had my little issue with drugs for a while, but got clean and sober 2008. And so I've been healthy and living a healthy life for years. But and skateboarding, playing sports, and so I just have grown up in a body and lived in a body that was healthy. Um, my spinal injury was like the first time in my life that like I realized I wasn't invincible. And some of you young guys in your 20s and 30s, even 40s. In my 40s, I felt I was just like indestructible. Um, Still working out every day, still skateboarding empty swimming pools. So, uh, um, and it was literally, it just happened one day. I didn't do anything necessarily that was like something I noticed. It wasn't like a traumatic event. I just went from, I had a herniated disc on when I turned 40. All my injuries are like very uh, like sort of bookmarked by my age, and it's been the weirdest thing. But so like the week I turned 40, I had a herniated disc, and I was gonna have a spinal fusion surgery back then, but I was told that if you're healing in the right direction, surgery should be put off as like the last resort. And I was healing, so I did like uh, trigger point injections, really didn't work, and then I did epidural injections, which is like steroidal injections that I think you get like one every couple months, and you do a series of three over the course of it's over the course of 6 months, and and so that worked. I eventually healed, had another 8 years of skateboarding and working out a lot every day. Um, and then all of a sudden it was like was 52, it was 51 or 52. It was right, yeah, 51, 52. And just was okay 1 second. The next second, I couldn't move. It was like I had to sleep standing up, like with my head up on my dresser, and with a pillow on the dresser top, And I had to sleep like that because I couldn't move my spine. And that it lasted like for weeks until I went to the hospital and they had to do an emergency surgery. It turned out that my herniated disc had deteriorated, and that disc that needed to be replaced. I was given an artificial disc, and then they fused the vertebrae on both sides of the disc. And so I would say I'm like 80% healed. Um, but that extra 20%, which gives you a life, like I'm not I'm not handicapped because I can walk and I can function and do everything, but I'm also not like what I would consider like back to normal because I can't do the things that I want to do. And my surgeon is like, when I told him my issue, where I am and where I want to be, he was like, "Yeah, these are a dime a dozen. I do these all the time, and you will be back to like 99%, if not 100%. For your age, you will be where you feel that you'll be where you feel that you need to be." And so that's where I'm at. So to sort of bring it back to this channel, for about like the past year, I was just, I keep adding to my collection of, guns, knives, tactical gear, tactical, clothing, cry, this, Gen 3 combat bands, just everything that, if you are a collector, is the stuff that you like, right? And so you get it, and you're just like, you want to make a video about it, and so you just sort of, hey, look what I got, it's cool. But not, not really using it like you can, in order to really use it, you've got to be healthy. I mean, you can go to the range, which I do, and you can shoot, and you can haul out your big AR-500 steel targets, and get sort of like your fix of shooting, which is something I've done my entire life. Like since I was like 4 or 5 years old. I had two parents, which is crazy. My mom was a shooter too, so a lot of my early years are driving out towards like Ben Avery. I live in Phoenix. Yeah, if you live in Phoenix, you'll that will be familiar to you. So uh, Ben Avery, and we would back then there was no buildings or nothing was developed, and so we would go past Ben Avery towards Lake Pleasant for 5 miles, and then just pull off the road and set up targets and just shoot. And so it's been a part of my life. My dad was a huge gun collector, and he went through his phases of like sort of historic military, World War I, World War II stuff. And then he went into like before the I think was it the 83 ban or 80 ban, where it was like the first like assault weapons ban is what they called it. I think it was under Clinton. But that's when he built a secret safe and all that stuff kind of went bye-bye. And he got into Civil War stuff. So like a lot of Colt single actions and buffalo guns and all the shit. Stuff that I'm not really into. So, but to get to sort of give you an idea where I'm going, this is a channel that I want people to come to and feel like they're with their homies. You know what I mean? Where they're not afraid to comment. They're not afraid to ask questions. Like if they're a newcomer, they're not afraid to like post a picture of their gun with their optic backwards. And if they do, I mean, we might laugh or snicker, but nobody's like trying to make a person feel like shit. I'm just past that in my life, you grow up at some point, and trying to hurt people's feelings just becomes lame. It just does. Now, I still like all the YouTube videos that sort of clown Brendan Schaub, or Rogan, or all the goofballs. The lol cows, I think the kids call them, the Wes Watsons, the King Azules. Like, I'll eat that stuff up all day. If you're like a internet alpha male in the manosphere, I'm not going to be the one talking shit, but I will gobble that stuff up nonstop. If it's not like the Cleared Hot podcast or the Mic Drop or something that's deals with like military history or sort of the knowledge transfer from the guys who came out of the GWAT in the early 2000s, 2010s, where it's just like it's like history that's being told from the people who lived it and are still around, right? And that's just like the most interesting stuff to me, because these guys are still pretty young. I mean, some of them are, they're all either my age, like Jocko's a couple years older than me, so he is someone that I'm sort of in that 9/11 happened when I was 30. So I was born in 71, and it happened obviously in 2001, September 11th. I was born in August. So basically I had just turned 30. And so it's my generation that really went and did all that stuff. And to me, I find it like super fascinating. And I can't get enough of it. I'm just like a fiend for military history and history in general, really. I mean, I was a political science major and worked in politics right out of college for a U.S. senator. And so I just really find politics and especially like foreign policy really interesting. more and more so is I've sort of become obsessed with domestic policy, with like mass migration and oh, deportations, and if you've been paying attention the past year, it's gotten ugly, and so so that's where we're at. I'm sort of explaining this to let you know where this channel's going, what it is. It's definitely like a gun review, gear review, unboxings. It's a fun channel, but it's going to get into the going out to the range, doing ballistics testing different suppressors, different ammunition, and having fun out at the range, right? Doing precision, sort of distance shooting to having doing like the high speed cover and shoot 2-man, like urban setting shooting. I guess you could call it tactical shooting, and doing that, but also making it about politics as it relates to our people, right? Our culture. So, for instance, that Steve Malinowski, the dude who was shot by the ATF during the Biden administration, I think it was about probably like 2003 or 2004, where he was buying and selling guns, and he was engaged in the business, right? Didn't have an FFL, but had sold enough Glocks at gun shows, and a few of those had turned up in crimes. Now, at no fault of his own, but right, like people commit crimes and they buy guns, and sometimes those you can't control what other people do once you sell something, which is why I typically don't sell. I don't sell. I've never sold a gun ever that I've purchased, and I've purchased all mine through FFLs. So just to avoid all that shit. But my point is that also Steve Malinowski was shot dead by ATF that showed up, put tape over. They could have approached him during the day at his business. He was like the director, the main dude at the Clinton regional airport in I guess that would have been Georgia. Wait, Georgia? Or no, Arkansas. That's where Clinton's from. And so I guess they wanted to talk to him. They had a warrant, and it was not like a middle of the night 3 a.m. warrant. It was like you have to go there during the day, because apparently he was being investigated for like those administrative crimes, not like a violent crime where he committed a crime, but where like you violate one of the ATF's like ever-changing rules, and not laws, but rules that they're kind of arbitrarily set when they feel like it, and you never really know, like they're just vague enough where you don't know if you're following the rules or not. And then when they decide that they want to fuck with somebody, then they go to a judge and they rubber stamp a warrant. And so what happened with these dudes is they went to this dude's house. Instead of going to meeting him at going to work, or pulling him over when he's in his car, and he's very unlikely to have a gun like ready to shoot because he can see a cop coming up behind him in his rearview mirror. Instead, they approach him at home right when he's like in bed. So someone rings your doorbell, and it was like 6:01. So they were doing it dirty. They were trying to get him as close to the middle of the night as possible. And he wakes up and he goes to the door, and someone's pounding on the door, and they put tape over his Ring camera so he couldn't identify who they are. Now, I understand law enforcement needing to cover the thing, so if it's a violent criminal, they can't like pull their gun out and start shooting through the door. But when it's a person who's being accused of selling a gun that somebody else used, who's obviously like law-abiding citizen, because he buys his guns right from FFLs after going through the NICS background check system, so he's a good guy, obviously, and he's non-violent, doesn't have felonies. You would think that they would approach him during the day at work when he doesn't have a gun on him and when he can clearly see who's approaching him. But they got him in the middle of the night, covered the whatever, the ring camera, and I guess the door was open. There was some sort of failure to ID, and the dude shot him down the hall, right? And the dude died, and there's never been shit done about it, right? Guy executed. A few of these happened under the Biden administration. Now, some major new policies are being made, and it's looking really good that Trump's sort of followed through on immigration and deportations, and he's definitely appointing like pro Second Amendment directors of the ATF. Instead of these Steve Dettelbach, idiots who hate guns and hate you having guns and cosplay as like Second Amendment people because they're law enforcement. They're supposed to be conservative on our side, but these are the kind of entitled liberals who think that like laws should only apply to you, and that they should have guns, and their bodyguards or taxpayer-funded bodyguards should be able to have guns to protect them, but you shouldn't have them because it's dangerous, because people out there misuse them, and so you shouldn't have one, even though you passed the background check, and and so that's kind of the politics I want to be able to discuss on this channel. So it's just not just like shooting guns and doing like sort of like flexing on Instagram, showing you the newest, coolest shit. I want to be able to like get serious and talk about like policies and things that affect our lives, right? So it is important. So that's where we're going. I'm going to be making a couple of videos this weekend, and they're going to be review unboxings, and then I want to talk about several things that are going on in politics that affect conservatives and sort of the direction that we're going, especially after the Charlie Kirk assassination. And if we don't want to see ourselves back in like where we were, losing all of our gains that we've made in the Supreme Court as far as the states' rights on the abortion issue, and we don't want to see the Supreme Court packed, and we don't want to see all our wins lost. We don't want to see the borders thrown wide open again and 40,000 people a day flooding across the border. If we, net migration, we are at net migration right now. That means there's more people that are self-deporting and leaving than there are sneaking across our border. That's something that people like me have been dreaming about for decades. And so, but these are things that take time before you start realizing, like, actually seeing their benefits start to mature. It's the same with like capturing Maduro and federally prosecuting him and making sure that the new government that sort of takes over is pro-American, or not, at least not anti, like openly hostile, so that we don't have Venezuela offering our real enemies like China. Iran's no longer an issue, but China and Russia, a place to sort of stockpile weapons and get their fuel from, because these things can all be lost in as quick as it takes to swear another president in. And so I think to like overly emphasize a certain issue within the Trump administration. Let's say you don't like what he's done in Iran. I generally don't, but I also grew up. I was like 8 years old when when the Iranian regime, Islamic regime, took over the embassy. A bunch of hostages were taken. If you've ever seen the movie Argo, that's the story of that, what happened. My uncle was a U.S. Marine who was at the time guarding the Alaskan pipeline, which was like this huge oil or pipeline that transported oil through Alaska. And um, anyways, and so I grew up like that was very in like in my like in my family there was a lot of that going on. In fact, my uncle's license plate said "fuck Iran," like FK Iran. So that was just like part of my life, and ever since it's like the bombing of the uh, embassy in I guess it was Lebanon, right? The and all their proxy armies that have sort of developed with Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthis, and killing our people and constantly being behind every attack. I mean, when Obama left office, remember that there was like a week where they were like kidnapping our soldiers, or like taking our little speedboats hostage, and they took like 12 American sailors as war, like prisoners of war, and then of course unleashed them because Trump was coming in office. Um, so it, my point is that we're going to talk politics sometimes, but it's not going to be like overly like emphasized. When it's something important or there's something that's needs to be talked about, I think especially like right now with the midterms coming around, and prominent like right-wing voices saying like, this is it, I'm gonna vote for Democrats because of what he did in Iran. I mean, we're 8 weeks into this war. We're already having negotiations. Give it a couple of years, let the price of oil drop to $1 a gallon, because Iran, once the Iranian regime uh, gets slaughtered by the people and all the sort of the factions that the CIA's implanted, and they lose their money to buy allegiance from the people who are protecting them now. They lose money to pay China to, it, and Iran's no longer a thorn in our ass. That oil's gonna. I mean, even though we don't get like it doesn't really. It's not where we get our primary source of oil for us, but it's a primary source of oil for a lot of people throughout the world, and that supply, it sort of outweighs the demand, and the price drops. And with as much energy, exploration, and independence that Trump's done, and with Venezuela, I mean, the cost of fuel, and once the cost of fuel drops, like falls out, you're gonna see that reflected in everything as far as like commodities, food, and building materials, and our economy is going to be incredible, but it's going to take a couple years. You know what I mean? And so, like, to be talking so like this dude's failed. He's failed the MAGA base. He's America first, and like, do you guys remember the first thing he did was like he surged troops into Raqqa and where else were Mosul, and he fucking curb stomped ISIS, Islamic State. Something that Obama said was going to be like a generational war battle to like take back these countries from the caliphate. Trump was like, fuck that, take the handcuffs off our servicemen and let them kick ass. And they did it in like a month. ISIS was like dust. Of course, during the Biden administration, most of those were held at the airport in or was it in Afghanistan, the Bagram airport. Most of those, like, tons of ISIS fighters were like being held there, and then they were just released. One of those blew himself up, killing 13 U.S. Marines, which, you know, Democrats didn't have any problem with back then. And but now it's like they are very concerned about our military, our troops. Didn't give two shits back when it was Biden ignoring his you know, all his military advisors. You know, he wanted to hit the deadline, the 20-year anniversary, and be able to say that he and Kamala you know, like, pulled us out at the 20-year mark, and it looks really good for the headlines and stuff. But my point is that politics are important, and especially now with sort of the bullshit that we see with, like, the Charlie Kirk assassination and nobody trusting our government, and even with the Epstein thing, it's like he was going to release him. He said he was, and now he's not, and he must be a rapist. And you hear this shit, and it's like the things that are, like, the facts compared to the rumors are just ridiculous, man. And I think that's really important to establish the facts, especially for conservatives, because they matter, right? They matter. So that's kind of the direction I want this channel, but it's always gonna favor fun shooting, sort of that hype beast, tactical military culture, the warm fuzzy, the Kilo collabs with SC Irregulars and white phosphorus, and, you know, just the cool shit, the shit that that you can't find unless it's on eBay. By the way, I try to find those SC Irregular shorts that Slade will do as a collaboration with Kilo every year, like the spring, and they were sold out in 5 minutes. I got the jacket. I got it's their first, but this is going to be another video. I'm going to open this up in another video, but this is it's their third iteration of their spring release, Windbreaker, but it's their first all black jacket that they have. It's got bungee hood and bungee waist. It's got the Velcro sleeves, like this guy. I'm going to talk about this thing in a second. The rugby shirt from Spiritus Systems. Just got this in the mail. It's an amazing shirt. But we're going to go through it. We're going to go through the SC Irregulars collab with Kilo. We're gonna also do a separate video on the this is Spiritus Systems' first sort of first product getting into clothing. So this is a silver ion infused cotton that is antibacterial. So it's like a real deal combat shirt. Super soft, super comfortable. It's got the hook loop sort of shoulders for patches if you need patches. I don't. And it's got an athletic fit. It's got the collar, no buttons, super comfortable, super lightweight. You guys, you got to get one. Multicam sold out. They come in for like first responders, like a red. They come in a tan camel, flat dark earth. Oh, not flat dark earth, but tan or camel, black, and an OD green. So hot stuff. but I want to do a video on it, and I'm going to edit in specific stuff that's been on Spirit Systems website. So some professional photos and stuff, because it's going to be much better to see those than for me to be like, look at this shirt, check this out. So we're going to do the Cry Precision 3-day assaulters pack, right? 3 attachment methods. The AVS attachment to JPC, the JPC plate carriers, which I have right here. Or it comes with its own straps, so it can be worn as an individual standalone assaulters pack. 3-day assaulters pack. It's got the internal frame, but I'm going to make a video on it, so I'm not going to go through all the features. It's got you can see it. It's a great pack. You know, Arc'teryx makes one. Pharaoh Concepts makes one. Everybody makes one, but Cry makes the best. So we're gonna do the everything. Of course, made in there. It's very compliant. So all the sources, all the materials are sourced, manufactured, assembled in the USA, right? So it can be a military product, military issued at least. So we're going to do the Cry Precision 3-day assaulters pack. And these are this weekend's videos that I plan on creating for my subscribers. Now I'm at like 1,500, almost 1,600 subscribers. I appreciate all of you. I also really appreciate the likes and the engagements, the conversations. You guys know who you are. You guys are just killer, right? I don't get a lot of people talking shit, which is surprising, because I would think people would be like LARPer. But on the other hand, I don't pretend to be like somebody I'm not, right? So I'm a 54-year-old dude who likes acting like a 15-year-old kid playing Army. Except at this age, I have the money to do it for real, I guess. So we're going to do that's the intro of where this channel wants to go. My surgery is coming up in the next month or two, and it's going to be, I might even take you through that journey. And so I would say, it's about 6 months before we're doing outdoor shooting videos. And when I get to that point, I'm going to be releasing like 3 or 4 a week. Because I go out when I'm healthy and I can go out to the desert, I do it a lot. I shoot a lot. So that's where this channel's going. No dicks. There's no like bar of entry. Everybody's welcome. Men, women, people new to guns. You know, and with that in mind, like, gun safety is an issue that I will tend to try to emphasize. I'm not perfect about it, because, you know, when your guns are unloaded in your house, weapons check isn't something that I do every time I touch a gun or do something. I just don't. I don't need to, because I know where my stuff is. But I understand that people are watching don't understand this, so that's where this channel is going. That's sort of the direction for people who are new and they're like, who is this? What's this video about? If that sounds like a channel that you would enjoy, something that's where we talk politics, where we look at cool guns, where we make suggestions to other people, where people who have questions can come, where I'm definitely not above talking shit to the right people, but punching down on people who are trying their best is not my style, right? But if it's like some dude who thinks he's like the alpha shit, like an Andrew Tate will clown all day, right? I'm down with that. I could give a fuck less. When when a person makes it there, like it like that's their what's the word, like that's their deal or that's their character, then is to be like sort of okay, when the person is antagonistic on purpose and they're looking for a reaction, I'm not above giving it to them, right? No problem with that. It's the thing that I don't like is like somebody who's like looking to like be a part of something and feeling like an outsider, and the first thing they do is they open their mouth and they get someone slamming a door in their face because they don't know the right words, right? Like fuck that, right? We don't. I just don't treat people like that. So that's where I want this channel to go. We've got videos coming up on the Cry 3-Day Assaulter Pack, the Spiritist Systems Mission Rugby shirt, definitely dope. I want to do a sort of a review on slings. I'm probably at my 11th sling, and I finally found the sling that is perfect through and through. It's the Edgar Sherman sling, the ES, Edgar Sherman ES, whatever, ESG or something. But it's the Edgar Sherman. And the reason I like it, and I'm going to show you this, and if you guys have been around this channel, you have seen this gun more than once. Because I'm very proud of this thing. But the way that this sling, right, stows away is like super, super tight and close to the upper receiver, right? If you can't even see the damn thing if you're looking on the you know, it's like my shooter side where the shells are ejected. And so, but this sling is, and the reason why, and it's probably not as apparent as you might think, but we will get to that. I'm not going to tell you what it is, so you have a reason to watch. But the Edgar Sherman, there's only one other sling, and I'm going to go through all my slings and tell you the pros and cons. But the one other sling is by Rain Tactical. I think the U.S. military or the U.S. Marines, it was like a standard issue sling for a while. Well, I'm not going to tell you what makes it unique compared to all the other slings, but I have the Haley Strategic. I have a couple of the GBRS second best slings. It's a great sling, basically because it's so simple, lightweight, and that's why they created, if you've ever listened to them talk about their sling, it's just very down to earth, very simple, very lightweight, 1.25 inches thick, or the width. And then you have the Rain. Let's see what else. Oh, the Flatline, great sling. The Irregular Defense, Slade sling. They're all pretty much the same in terms of you get a sling with extra length on both ends. You put on your attachment, whatever it is, and then with the extra length, you either cut it and then melt the ends, and then, or you can fold it up and stow it away and tape it up. But with these slings, I'll tell you the secret. With these, they come with the ends. You never cut the ends off. The ends come with a fold over, and they don't come with the attachment, you know, the connections, the QD devices. So you pick whatever you want, you put it on the end, and because the webbing right at the end is folded back, right at the very end, it's folded back on itself. I don't know if you can see that, but and then it's stitched so that when it goes in and comes in, it can't back out because that little lip of fabric right there catches. And so you get the sling and nothing ever comes off either end. All the adjustments are made on the inside. And so that means that you can constantly change and adjust the length of your sling. On most slings, the adjustment's made on the shoulder, over the shoulder part, and that's where most of the length is cut off, with the front like glide. Um, that's where, that's pretty standard, and you don't mess with that pretty much. But with these, it comes, the front is where the back is where the adjustments are made, and you can make the adjustments both, like I said, both sides. I can just show you right here. This is how easy this thing comes apart. Right. Right. And so this buckle can just pull out like this. Kind of have to do this with one hand, but there's a little patch here, but if you notice, right, what happens is you can just pull this, and now it's extra longer, and then you have your, right, this is your slide. So, when you have it on and you need to get that length, you can pull this back, you got your length, you can pull it in, right? Now, when you want to, like, for instance, store it, or you're changing gear and you're going to be wearing it, like, let's say, slick without a plate carrier, you need to get some more room. You just pull on this, right? And this thing comes down. You got to get under the little Ed Sherman patch or whatever. And then you can really take it all the way down. Right? So now it's much shorter. Now you can, run it like that and then get most of your slack here. And, that's probably enough room to operate with. But, if let's say you're stowing it over your back, that's actually the best example. So let's say you have it up, you take it up, and you're running it with, I have it marked where I keep it, like, I run it starting right there. So this is how I wear it. That's the length I wear it. I'll throw this over. And run it over, I can pull it on, right? And then if I need to, I've got the tri-glide, so I can turn it into a 1-point sling. But I can get extra length out of it. And so now I have a lot more in the back, a lot more length in the back. And then get more length up front. So you can get, like, a ton of length. So it's a great sling. It's very adjustable. And I like being able to stow it away, like, extremely, like, quickly, right? So again, takes it all the way down. And now it's, like, super short, and you can, drop this thing, right? Close that in, super tight. Use this little bungee thing they've got. Come on, dude. Pull it through. And, if you need to, you can sort of tighten it up, adjust it so that you're constantly, or not constantly, but you pull it like that. And so it's, like, literally skin tight to the receiver. Then if you want to, you can even double it back through. and if you ever work with slings, you know that, like, you get in the car after you've been shooting, somebody else is driving. This is something you can, I mean, you're not going to do this, like, if you're out, you know, you're on a mission and you take you're taking a 5-second break to eat or something. You're not going to go through all this and stuff, but, like, if you've got time and you're not dealing with something specific, like a threat, you can take a little bit of time to get it all tightened up so that you can stow it, and it's literally like it doesn't even have a sling on it, right? Yeah, super tight. I don't even I mean, I'm not even using the, whatever this thing's called, the something mag, Sentry mag or Scent something. Or what is it called? Strap, Sentry strap. No, I could bust this thing out like this, right? And really get it, like, tightened on there. There you go. So now the thing is actually snug to the upper receiver and not coming apart at all. I mean, even with it off, look, it's not falling. So this is a sling I really like. I like the fact that you don't lose any of the material or the length, so that you can use it for years to come, in multiple environments, multiple applications. And so that's about it, right? Great rifle. And if you've been around this channel for a while, you know that you've seen it a million times, because I'm very proud of this thing. I'm thinking about getting those titanium takedown and pivot pins. They're beautiful, dude. Like raw titanium finish. Okay, so Cry Precision Assaulters Pack, 3-day Assaulter Pack, the Spiritus Systems Mission Rugby shirt, the sling, and then the Kilo SC Irregulars Windbreaker. It's their third iteration. The first one they released in 2023, I think. And so this is their 3.1. Kilo just released their spring collection, their first drop of spring collection. There should be like 2 more. I'm hoping that they do another shorts, like workout shorts. They're like basically like a bathing suit, but the first one was like a AOR camouflage pattern 2, and the black, or no, just one. It was only one color, so they released the lightweight, or the windbreaker in black, which I got, and then they have an AOR2, which is the greener digital camouflage. I think AOR1 is the desert digital camo, like the shoes I have, or like this puffy SC Irregulars winter jacket that I got. So anyway, the shorts are great. I think they're going to release another pair, and God, if they were just the traditional multicam, I'd love to have a pair or 2. I tried to buy 3 pair, but by the time I had 5 pair in my cart, and by the time I pushed purchase, they were all sold out. And damn, dude, I was there like literally at the second it dropped on the thing. I added the jacket to my cart, 3 pair of shorts, did the like instant sort of fill in of name, address, credit card information. The problem is you have to have the debit card number, and I had to look at it real quick. It took me, in those extra split 2 or 3 seconds, all those shorts were snatched from me. I was pissed. But whatever, I'll get a pair eventually. I got the black uh, deal. I got these. This sold out quickly. I got the XL Spirit of Systems rugby shirt. Super hyped on it, dude. Without the buttons, it's just so dope. So we got the rugby shirt. We got we're dealing with the pack. Oh, I also just ordered earlier today, the Cry. What are they called? There's like a pair of shorts that are like below the knee. I have a pair of Arc'teryx winter shorts, and they're almost like made of like a ski jacket material, like very and sort of, they have some insulation in them. I think they're a winter. These are almost like a windbreaker sort of light material. They're basically like Gen 3 Cry combat pants, but they're shorts, but they're long shorts, and I just bought them today. They probably won't ship till Monday. I'll do a video of those. Those are called the oh boy. Those are called the. I've got my little thing here. Hold on. I'll show you. Actually, I can show them to you. I can just lift my. Let's see here. So it would be under outerwear. Wait, yeah, outerwear. Yeah, outerwear. Pants. These things are sick. Right, so you have like the normal. I don't know if you can see them, but pants. These are the shorts. So they're like a longer, but they have all the zips and pockets and let's see. Dope. Oh, and they have like a zip up the side, so like you could even roll them up further if you wanted. Those are the ones I grabbed onto. Wait, that's. I wish it wasn't so damn bright. Let's see if I can do this backwards. Hold on. Wait. Nope. Fuck. Oh well. And so, they're called the ATO Mid-Loft Pant. Alpine Terrain Operations Mid-Loft Pant. Designed to provide warmth and wind protection when static while avoiding overheating during movement. Constructed with a durable, wind-resistant nylon fabric that is lightweight and packable. The PolarTech Alpha Direct insulation is a uniquely constructed knit that does not require a lining layer, reducing the overall bulk but maintaining the high CLO value. The insulation is also highly breathable and designed to allow excellent ventilation during high activity and cold temperatures. It features hand pockets to access underlayers, full side leg zips for easy donning, doffing over boots, 3/4 inch length to allow a better fit when worn with ski boots and provide warmth at crucial areas of leg. Can be worn over a G3 or G4 uniform, an Acclima base layer pant, and under any high lofted outer layer, made in U.S. from U.S. materials. It's basically like a tactical capri pant, like if you've seen, or baseball pants. So it's like tactical baseball pants. You know, I mean, here's the white multicam. I don't know if you can see that, but let's see. Why in the hell? Well, just imagine, I'll do a color that actually is coming through. Right? I don't know if you can see that, but and so I've got those bad boys on. No way. Cry makes the killer as shit, man. I used to be really into like Altamont skate sort of. It's like it's basically like a culture brand. Um, uh, I guess founded by Andrew Reynolds, founder of Baker Skateboards, professional skateboarder. Um, Shake Junt, or actually, I guess he's not, but it's like the parent company of Shake Junt. Uh, uh, Lots of companies actually. I forgot the bearings, but whatever. So Andrew Reynolds. Wait, what did I even talk about? Why did I bring him up? Oh, I used to like that company Altamont and like Nike collectible like not Air Force Ones, but like the Dunks and all the Nike skateboard shoes. I still do collect those actually, so I have a bunch of those. A lot of them unused, unboxed. Um, but as I kind of got older and after my injury, I kind of got back into shooting, and so my tastes have really sort of got back into like camping and shit that I can do. I can no longer skate a empty swimming pool. I can no longer go skate the 13 foot high vert ramp out at KTR, or do things that can paralyze me now that I have a fused spine. So anyway, that's where we're at. That's the channel. That's the direction I want to take it in. I'm going to be starting to make a lot more of like these videos where I'm talking. Hopefully, like I know with like YouTube videos that like I like the best are the ones that where I feel like I know the person and where the person's like not made up. There's no editing multiple times in between trying to say something. Like you will not see a single edit from the very first word I spoke till the very end. I'm not going to sit there and try to edit out where I couldn't remember a word. You're going to hear all of it. It's very sort of like rough, raw. It's not perfect. But that's all that's the stuff that I always like. I always like the shit that's like definitely homemade DIY, like videos of people sharing shit that they're interested in. And if I'm interested in it, then that's what I'm interested in, right? So we share a common interest. And it's like hanging out with your homie at the coffee shop and you're talking about something and you can't remember a word, or you're bullshitting. Your conversation might go from talking about how you did at the range to the new ATF guidelines, right? And so that's what I want this channel to be. And hopefully if it grows, and I can start getting some people, like some people that I admire and I really look up to. I'd love to interview like Andy Stump. I'd love to interview love to interview Slade. I completely am so like impressed by who that person is, and specifically based around how he's a family guy, like complete Christian. Gave up a sponsorship and a relationship, a business sort of relationship with Noviski, because Noviski is sort of like risque in their advertising campaigns. Like a lot of chicks in bikinis and dude in like a Hawaiian shirt with like combat pants and some nods on a helmet and his M4, and then a chick riding shotgun in a bikini with a helmet and nods. Just cool shit that like if you are into this kind of stuff is just dope, right? And that's another the Pharaoh concepts, the Noviskis, the just the as long as they've got good like ethical, as far as principles. If they're conservative principles, pro Second Amendment, and they're consistent on it, that's the shit I love. And that's the shit that hopefully we can introduce people that aren't aware of this stuff. You think the guns are just guns, and shooting is just shooting, and there's no real culture. Um, the culture is insane, dude. I was really completely shocked when I got back into it, because it was like, I got back into shooting. Oh, I mean, I was always into shooting, but when I started to really sort of become interested in shooting again, because it was even before my back, but I was getting a little bit older, and I started noticing that there's like this full culture that's a lot like skateboarding, um, where there's a lot of like super like, what's the word, like custom limited edition, um, just dope uh, shit, right? It's like stuff you would see in like those sort of magazines where they have everything from like high-end electronics to like the newest Yeezy shoes to like the newest Louis Vuitton collab with like Supreme, um, like something random like a Supreme and like basketball or soccer ball, just shit like that, just like super super rare. Not, I wouldn't say super rare, because it's got to be somewhat attainable for people to. It has to be within the realm of possibility of someone getting it, or it loses its appeal in general, because it's like, I'm sure like a owning a 50 room $50 million mansion is dope, but I don't spend a whole lot of time like salivating over that shit, because it's not within my cards. It's not within my. I mean, I don't want to be like turn into like a some guy that talks about reach for the stars, don't ever limit your choice yourself by failing to you know visualize your dreams. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like shit with that's reasonable. Um, uh, if it's unreasonable and it's like it's just fantasy world, I don't spend a whole lot of time fucking with it. If I want to watch fantasy world shit, I'll watch like a Batman movie. Um, but when it comes to stuff that I'm interested in and like grabs my attention and holds my attention, it's stuff that like is in my ballpark. It's stuff that like is a possibility for me, and it's attainable. That's the word that I'm looking for. It's something that's attainable, and that's also, I guess, why politics is interesting, because politics is attainable. You might hear from people that are like pessimistic, and like they're like, oh, what's the point of voting? It doesn't matter any. The thing is it does matter, right? It's like becoming involved. Those, like Nick Shirley is the perfect fucking example. Um, the dude like was questioning like all these like medical programs, these Medicaid taxpayer funded programs about like, oh, for autistic children in Minneapolis. But he's like, why am I not seeing this? That we're spending $20 billion, every quarter on this stuff, and yet I don't see any of these mini child care centers. And so he goes out and he does a couple days worth of knocking on doors, and he changes the world, right? They're now trying to write laws that make doing that illegal. I mean, he's fucked with the corrupt Democratic Party so hard that they're trying to make it illegal to like go look and see if things are corrupt in your own city. I mean, the Democrats are on their back heels. Again, why we would want to empower them or give them our foot's on the neck, right? And I say that like figuratively speaking, not like, it's not like, it's not like when Democrats talk about like 86-47, like they really mean like Comey's actually trying to throw out dog whistles to like kill the dude, right? And then saying that it didn't happen, and oh, it's just my free speech, and you guys are trying to imply. That's another thing I want to talk about in an upcoming video, is that he doesn't know what the FBI knows. He thinks that it's all like just he thinks he's just being charged with like threatening the president. Oh, I did something and I threatened the president, but I said I didn't do it. But the thing is what he doesn't realize, he's being charged with making false statements to law enforcement, impeding an investigation, lying to the FBI, the shit that they were gonna, try to imprison, like Roger Stone for years and years and years, you know, charges that will carry like 5 years apiece. So every time you say the lie, that's another 5 years. And if you stack that shit and you don't run them concurrent, you run them consecutively, you can wind up doing a 30 years on a fucking seashell threat. And for someone like Comey, who was on multiple occasions said that every person in January 6th should be hunted down and they should be given the maximum penalty and have the book thrown at them. For that dude, who was more than willing to weaponize the criminal justice system and government and the deep state, fuck him. I have no problem watching that dude fry. Same with Fauci. These people lie to our fucking faces, man. Same with dude who fucking told us the border was totally secure. What's his name? Little Elmer Fudd dude. What was his name? Alexander Mayorkas. That dude. Comey. John Brennan. Ex-CIA dude. James Clapper. There's a list of probably about 10 or 20 Democrats. Corrupt to the bone. Ilhan Omar's another one. Dude, and she's going down. There's just too much noise right now that her congressional seat will not survive. She will lose her position in Congress. But what's even better is that there's so much talk now, and we've become so normalized to hearing denaturalization over the past couple months. And this is why it's important to stay conservative and stay together as a team and not let something like the Iran, thing. It's like, he promised us no new wars and blah, blah, blah. We're getting, fuck that shit, right? He probably should reel it back, but it's only been 7 or 8 weeks. No more nuclear threat. No more fucking Ayatollah that's, no more millions and billions of dollars going out to proxies. No more proxies. Like, shit's gotten cleaned up. And if we just let the shit settle and Iran just form a new government and, do their shit quietly and help them rebuild their country into like a United Arab Emirates type deal, or, of a country that's filled with wealth, so that we're not dealing with Middle East terrorism and they're crushing it with their, let them elect a king, or not elect, but let them appoint a king that's pro-American. I don't give a shit. And let them crush Islamic extremism and that sort of, that fascist, whatever, I don't even know what you'd call it, who knows, man. So that's where we're at. That's the channel. That's sort of the direction. I want to do some upcoming videos. It turns out, other than doing the shirt and the jacket, I've already pretty much done the sling. Don't need to do that. As far as the soldier pack, probably don't need to do that. Taking a look at it. No, I'll do it. I'll combine that with something else, because there's enough on it to go through to. I have a level 3 or a 4. I don't know, a level 3 or 4. It's a rifle round plate, soft plate, that I got from Haley Strategic, but it's made by Sure Stop. So even this thing is basically a bulletproof pack for your bag. Like, give it to your kid to go into school, and if he ever hears gunfire, run the opposite direction. And while he's doing that, his back's covered, right? Um, so do a video covering the Cry Spirited Systems rugby shirt. Probably don't need to do that. I'll post some pictures in this video to cover that. Slings, the Kilo shirt or windbreaker, and then some political issues. I want to touch on Charlie Kirk and what's happened really to the conspiracy theories. This is just ridiculous, man. The shit that I've heard, and just the pseudo ballistic science that's out there that's like trying to turn this into like a Israel, like every connection trying to blame Israel for this shit. And that's the other thing too. Like I'm definitely not for giving American tax dollars to like any country, but the idea that this is a genocide and Israel is the war criminals in this, the country that that warns the population in advance of their bombing, and they miss a lot of their enemies because of this, and sometimes they sacrifice their own soldiers because of they're giving advanced warning, and that gives the Hamas the chance to set up like a ambush style attack. But they do it anyways because they're trying to avoid killing the civilians that Hamas directly uses as human shields when they build their military installations under churches or mosques, when they build them under daycare centers and hospitals and apartment buildings. That's on Hamas, dude. And we're blaming Israel for this shit, for the it's a just so ridiculous. Yeah, I mean the population of the Palestinian people has grown in 20 years. It's not a genocide, right? Genocides, typically the population decreases, it doesn't increase. But the thing that's the craziest is it's that this is coming from conservatives. I mean, for years I was like, yeah, Democrats are easily fooled, they're dumb, and the media is just buying into this shit. But it's like people had a brain, right? People knew that like Israel, like when Taylor Robinson shoots Charlie Kirk, and there's like, it's on his computer. He emails his gay furry buddy, and he explains it, and he's publicly admits it to his dad and to law enforcement. His DNA is found on bullets, and that he's and the handwritten letter that's under the keyboard saying, "I'm sorry, I had to do it." This is all. They're saying this is all unimportant because it's really Israel who did it. It's not, like all these attacks by left wing, LGBTQ, like violent Antifa adjacent terror groups that have been shooting up the schools and attacking cops in their death cults. All of a sudden, these people we're not worried about this population that a couple months before everybody was like, we're losing control of these transgender like militant like terror groups, left-wing domestic terror groups from the Antifa, sort of have a nexus to Antifa. It's not them. Like it wasn't Tyler Robinson, even though he was in chat rooms, encrypted chat rooms with these guys, and all their talk and all their communications suddenly ceased the day after the assassination, and everybody disappeared, and these sites completely vanished from thin. It's Israel. It's Netanyahu. Like, they could not stand Charlie Kirk saying that he supports Israel. even though he said he wasn't really supportive of like all this money going to foreign lobbyists or taking money from our congressional lawmakers, taking money from Israel foreign interests. Even though he was against that, he still was a supporter of Israel. So it has to be that they were trying to silence him. And Erica Kerr, it couldn't be the violent, like, transgender people who are like, 40% commit suicide. The other 40% are killing kids. But that's apparently where the conservatives are going, and that's why I feel like I almost need to speak out on this shit, because I don't want to, but yeah, there's that, and there's a couple other things I was just hearing about. Oh, the interview with what's his name, Andrew Wilson and Owen Schroyer. Excellent, um, excellent debate. Sort of explains, someone with realistic expectations, who's like, take take the majority, like, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Don't completely discount a person because there's one or two policies you disagree with. Give policies time to mature and play out before you just say that you're voting for a Democrat. Like, don't be so fucking quick to say MAGA is the worst president. I mean, I feel like this is like, I feel like I'm going through with my, like, conservatives what I went through for 4 years with these idiots called Democrats. It's shocking to me, actually. I see, like, people I used to really respect and are super intelligent. I'm like, fuck. Especially in the vet bro community. There's one dude, ex-Green Beret, dad's a attorney, and he got his degree, and he's got degrees, and he's super quick to tell you about him. This dude's turned into like an absolute, like, Trump derangement syndrome. He's a dude who, like, every video is about something that Trump's doing wrong, right? And it hasn't, like, not even touching on, like, fraud in Minnesota, any of these, like, the shit that's like, it's like we can have a field day on the shit that's going wrong with the Democrats. But let's talk about, like, Trump, another thing that Trump, like, Pete Hegseth, or, what's his name? Kash Patel's wife left him, or girlfriend left him. It's like it's the fucking, like, People magazine this dude's turned into. This dude used to be a fucking base dude. And now all of a sudden he's like fucking crying about Trump and the Trump people. Like, fucking dude. Like, fuck, Israel just completely shattered these people's fucking common sense, man. Anyway, I'm getting too political, and this is where I also don't want to go. So I want to keep it, like, talking about cool shit, going shooting, developing relationships with viewers. I'd like to start to get to where I'm like, I start seeing people more and more, and I'm like, oh, hey, what's up, dude? And then we develop, like, relationships, and it's like going to the your homie's house. So that's where we're going. I'm not sure. I probably was way too long, hour and 30 minutes. Nobody will watch this. Absolutely nobody will watch it. So I might timestamp it, but I probably won't, because fuck it. You'll get everything you need to know in the first couple minutes. You'll be like, oh, he's back. He's gonna do some spoken videos. There's going to be a little bit of politics in it, and there's going to be a couple cool things that he just bought. And the rest is just like blah, 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 blah. So thanks for hanging in there if you're still here. If you would, like, subscribe, comment. You guys do not know how that helps the algorithm, so you have no idea. I might start doing some giveaways. Like I said, I don't get sponsors. I don't have any shit. Nothing's coming in. But I've got a bunch of cool shit that I would like to part with. If people show me love, I have no problem. Like, I've got a brand new Radiant Raptor charging handle, the LT, that I bought by mistake, and didn't feel like going through the process of like the return shit. So I have it, and I would gladly part with it if you show me love, commenting and doing some, put some time in my comment section, and I would be more than happy to like stoke people out. So anyway, that's where we're at. I appreciate your time, and look for Cry Precision 3-day Assault Pack, Spirit of Systems, Mission Rugby, Ion Infused Silver, different slings, right? Kilo SC regulars. This is going to be really the only video that winds up having something that's not, the surprise hasn't been totally spoiled, but, and so, we'll do a cool unboxing of that thing and look at it. And beyond that, thank you guys. Talk to you soon.